My German kid got me sick, so I'm going to be struggling partially through this
Uh,
broadcast.
Somehow she made it through to the south of the Mason-Dixon line, but I'm feeling a little stuffy too. But
I know it's this little cough, and then of course this morning she's like, "Can we ride our bikes to school?" So I'm like riding my bike with her, going.
I know,
trying to
I know. I am on the allergy struggle bus. It's so bad. One of my I don't have it with me. One of my friends at Starbucks, the guy that works there was like, "Here, take some of the medicine I've been taking. It'll help." It's like, thanks.
That's when you know you sound that bad. Josh, good morning, Derek,
Good morning.
Angela. So, Jason, what is your next trip?
It is Adventure of the Sea. Well, technically, I'm excited for my trip June 10th to the Grand Hyatt Baha Mar for 2 nights, and then June 12th, getting on the Adventure of the Seas for a 7 night Bahamas and Cozumel run. Same as you. That's your next trip, right?
No, I'm going away this weekend.
That doesn't count.
I know that doesn't count from you. Emmy, Ann, and Miss Q, good morning.
Hello,
So
everybody.
I'm actually going, this is one of those trips where like we don't really have a lot planned. We're just like going to a hotel to like get away. Like
Okay.
literally use the hotel. So we're staying at this beautiful Kimpton in Vermont. Kimpton used to be, for those of you that don't know, its own, in essence, chain of boutique hotels that were independent. And then IHG bought them a couple of years ago. But they are very nice upscale brand. I got a great employee rate because it's normally $400 a night. So I'm taking advantage of that, and they're very pet friendly. They don't have any size restrictions for pets. They have a director of pet relations on staff, and there's no pet fee.
Nice.
So super excited about that. What about you guys? Who here in the comment section? What is your next trip? Before we get started in 4 minutes.
I know what trips Derek is not going on.
Shame.
Ding,
Ding.
ding.
Good morning, Lisa. And then, of course, after that, I am traveling to Atlantis in Nassau for 1 night. And then I will be hopping on Adventure of the Seas June 12th.
Wait a minute, you're not at the Grand Hyatt Baha Mar with us?
No, I'm at where I can get an employee rate. I'm not as rich as you and everybody else over there at the Baha Mar.
Well, that's fine. It'll Josh Crothers. We'll have fun at the Grand Hyatt Baha Mar. Don't worry. Don't worry.
So that's Josh's next trip. Lisa's on Oasis November 7th. Derek is on September on Symphony.
Not yet. You're not, Derek. I think I have to do it after I hang up with this with the call. You're not on it yet.
Anne's going to Myrtle Beach at the end of
Oh,
August.
nice.
Very nice.
Josh, all I want to say to Haley is to quote Mean Girls to Haley, you can't sit with us.
He's saying that because I've been saying that phrase very frequently regarding other things.
All the time.
Literally all the time. I told him we need shirts.
Emmy's next trip to the grocery store. So, guys, I will let you know, both Haley and I are on the struggle bus with the allergies and sinuses. So, sorry if you hear us sniffling, coughing,
we're trying
rubbing
to
our neck.
All the cough.
We're going to try to mute all the coughs, but we are both struggling here.
So Brian is going to San Diego this weekend, and then Any Luck Alaska cruise in August. Which just wait. Jason's gonna be eating some humble pie on our first topic.
I will.
Miss Q is going to Kentucky this weekend. Tina escaped to Cabo. Anne says she'll be with us on adventure.
Oh.
Do you know what's really funny is we were talking about our adventure sailing with a few people last night, and Jason thought that he was going to be able to have a connecting balcony with somebody.
I knew I wasn't. I was just
And honestly, I made this mistake back when I did adventure 4.5 years ago. So 5.5 years ago, I was on the Navigator. So when my friends and I rebooked our yearly kind of group trip, we saw this, Adventure was the same class. We went to next cruise. We loved it because we had pretty much four of us in balconies right next to each other. So we opened up all four on Navigator and it was great. And then we told them, we're like, we want to be right next to each other. We want exactly like what we have now. And we got there and it was just the white wall because it's a Gen 1 Voyager class versus the Gen 2 Voyager class. So
I know.
learned that the hard way.
I wish we run Navigator or Mariner for June. And so,
yeah, I'm kind of surprised that Adventure was the selection.
The reason why is they're hoping that like the better ships will be starting service soon. But we'll save that for our topic at the end because that will tie in. Okay.
Welcome, Michelle. Welcome. We're going to get started. Jason, take it away.
Awesome. Good morning, everybody. It's that time of week again. It is Tuesday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Central Time. For those of you who are just joining us for the first time, we do this every Tuesday morning. I am Jason Poole. I'm a travel advisor with Cruise Planners and American Express travel representative. I specialize in all things cruises, all things all-inclusive land resorts, and I just really love planning European land travel as well. To complete me with a better set of travel knowledge is my partner in crime. How are you doing this morning, Miss Haley?
Good. Whenever you say that, I always want to like grab your hand and be like, we deserve each other. So my name is Haley. I write Haley with a Flair, which is a travel blog. And I also own a hotel sales support company called Hospitality with a Flair. I've been in hotels for 14 years, pretty much worked with hundreds of hotels, almost every brand, boutiques, independents. And I live and breathe what I do. So
awesome.
Let's get started. So we have a typical agenda that we typically follow every week. I did actually get rid of the one vaccine passport slide because now everything's reopening. I think that main page suffices. So we're going to go through our hot travel topics, list of where U.S. citizens can travel to, tip of the day, question of the day from us, and then question of the day from somebody, one of you in our travel group on Facebook, todayintravel.live. And that's the general format. So let's go with number one, Jason. I have a slice of humble pie for you to eat.
Look, I am mature enough to admit when I am wrong. And guys, I was wrong. We got some exciting news late Friday night and going into the weekend about Alaska Cruises 2021 happening this summer. I could not believe it. Guys, for weeks I've been telling you on the show, there's not enough time. It can't happen.
I'm so sad Captain Rehab's not in here.
I know. I was like, it's not happening, guys. Like we're running out of time and not happening. Well, all the major companies, Carnival and their subsidiaries, Princess Holland America, the Royal Caribbean Group, Royal Caribbean International, Celebrity Cruises, like they're all announcing cruises out of Seattle, doing 7-night sailings round trip to Seattle up to Alaska, and with no visits to Canadian ports because the Congress passed and the president signed into law a bill that temporarily relieved American cruises leaving from America from having to visit a foreign port. So, guys, Alaskan cruises are happening as early as July. Some are starting in early August. So,
Jason, how's the pricing looking?
It's high, but not as high as I thought it would be. It's just typical Alaska. Alaska is the second most expensive traditional cruising market. The first is always going to be your Greek Isles. Alaska is the second. Yes, there's some crazy exotic cruises, but I'm talking traditional cruising markets. Alaska is always number two. So it's expensive, but it's not as outrageous as I thought it would be. So I am super excited. My inbox is getting full of people wanting to go to Seattle like this summer and go. So, Captain Rehab, if you're watching the replay, I'm sorry.
How did the humble pie taste?
You know what? I'm going to drink my coffee instead. Awesome.
So I'm
Awesome.
so excited about this next slide.
Yeah, so guys, also for the weekend, the European Union announced that they're going to open up the entire block of the whole EU to vaccinated travelers, and they can forego any type of quarantining or any type of testing when they get there. Now, a little caveat: there's some talks that the airlines are going to start wanting some testing done with the airline side of things, and we'll bring that to you as news continues to unfold. But Europe is ready to open up and welcome Americans who are fully vaccinated. And like announcement, the article I read from the Times said the official announcement with the date could come as early as this week.
Absolutely. And just keep in mind that even though the block's open, each country is going to be a pinch different
So
in their requirements.
I think that will flow nicely into our tip of the day.
It will. It will.
Yeah.
I think we touched on it last week too, with Italy having some of those COVID-free flights that are through Delta, American. Now United's hopping on board with that. I think we'll see a lot more of that.
I mean, it seems like the ball is just roll. I mean, when I got the email Friday about the Alaskan cruises, I just could not believe it. I mean, it was just
so fast.
It happened so fast. I just did not see it happening this quickly. A little bit of negative news here. We keep it fair and balanced in the Today in Travel show. The United States government, including the State Department and the CDC, are warning Americans not to travel to Japan for the Olympics. They have put Japan on a level 4 travel warning, which is the highest they can go, and it's the do not travel level 4. This isn't totally surprising because the Olympics isn't going to allow spectators to the venues. It's just going to be close family and friends at the events. They're still even debating if the local Japanese citizens can even go. They're likely to say no because the rollout of the vaccines in Japan has not been as great as it is in other parts of the world, because they really locked down and got it under control. But now cases are starting to kind of surge in Japan. So no one's going to be traveling to the Olympics anyways, which is a shame. It was a dream of mine to go to the Olympics one day. I would have loved to have gone to Tokyo, but I mean, would you want to go to the Olympics, Haley?
Honestly, I had planned on taking Olivia last year. So Olivia's a swimmer.
Yeah.
And that she was turning 10 last year. So when they canceled it, that's when I shifted and booked Greece.
I remember this. Yes.
Like that is something I've wanted to do. So I guess I'll have to wait another couple of years to
Yeah. I would just love
it.
I would love to go to the Olympics. I think it would be such an experience. So yeah. So
but my heart hurts though for the tourism industry, because this is something that you bank on, and I mean the home place funds it.
Oh, yeah.
Now they've spent all this money doing this and there's nobody coming.
Which is crazy. So almost 60% of Japanese citizens want the country to just cancel the Olympics altogether. They want to just write off the losses and just cancel it. But the government's like, we spent, I don't know, $30 billion. Like we're gonna do it. So, but some good news here in California. They're going to reopen their theme parks at full capacity in June. So, as you know, the Biden administration said basically lifted the mask recommendations for the entire country. Each state can kind of do their own thing. California wants to wait until June 15th to end the state mask mandate. And so that's going to coincide very nicely to the theme parks opening at 100% capacity. So
I'm fingers crossed, hoping that this happens, because I tentatively have a trip on the books for Olivia and I. I would love to take her to Disneyland, but Disneyland currently still has not said if they're going to allow out of state
Right.
just yet. And all I can say is if these theme parks are going to be at 100%, they better put their fast pass systems back in place.
Yes. Yes. So no, great news there. So super exciting. And a little bit of bad news. The United States has said the land border going into Canada and Mexico is going to remain closed through late June.
This
So
is different versus flying into Cancun. We're talking about the border you drive over.
right. So you can't just drive like Haley has driven to Toronto numerous times, and that's still going to be restricted for some time. Um, so yeah, so it's going to remain closed for now, but you can still fly to Mexico. But as we reported last week, Mexico is still kind of locking down parts of the area because cases are spiking to our neighbors down south.
They sure are. So I don't have a whole lot of updates right here. I know that we're going to probably have an update for France coming next week on this list. They're in the midst of hashing out the final details of what they're doing, and there's probably going to be an update to Croatia. But this is the current list. This is for US citizens traveling outbound, since that is about 85% of our demographic. That's why we have this slide. So, slide number 10, our question of the day, and I love this one. Why is Alaska getting the go ahead for cruising and Florida, the cruising capital, is not?
I think the answer is clear. Governor DeSantis, the governor of Florida, weeks ago, maybe a month ago, signed an executive order saying businesses are not allowed to ask if people are vaccinated before that business will serve them. As soon as he did that, Norwegian Cruise Line CEO said, well, then we're not going to sail out of Florida. Because of the unique nature of cruising, requiring vaccinations is crucial during a global health emergency. Now, Carnival and Royal Caribbean Group have remained silent. They did not make the same proclamation, but the fact that they're not cruising out of Florida yet, I think says they're on the same page with Norwegian. A state like Washington, for cruises out of Seattle, you're allowed to ask if people are vaccinated before they get on the cruise. So I think we could see cruises leaving out of Bayonne before we could see cruises leaving out of Florida, unless Governor DeSantis changes his executive order or puts cruising as an exemption. Do you agree with my analysis, or do you
I
disagree?
completely agree. I mean, I understand, I guess, where he's coming from in that thought process. I mean, Florida has their own way of handling it. Sorry, I tried to do it when I didn't have to talk. But I mean, you can't make that decisions for big companies.
No, okay. So, and I do think it's interesting that, so the Biden administration has been asked if they are in favor of a vaccine passport. And President Biden said he's not in favor of making American citizens walk around with paper, so to speak. That we're not gonna have to be like, show your papers. So, I I do understand the civil liberties aspect of it, but going on a cruise is not a fundamental right. So I do think it is okay to ask for a vaccine to do something like getting on a cruise, because it's not like being allowed to vote or being allowed to peacefully assemble. So sorry for our non-Americans talking about constitutional rights. I know, Emmy, you're in here, so I apologize about that. So yeah, so I mean, I would assume that Florida, the cruise lines, and the CDC are having discussions, but I am starting to be a little doubtful of cruises starting in July or early August out of Florida, but I would not be surprised if we see them out of Bayonne in August.
Well, I think what I was going to say is that sorry, I had a cough, but cruise ships have to be careful right now as they're restarting.
Yes.
Like, they can't afford any hiccups or any issues. I mean, look at even with Odyssey coming over, you had a couple crew members flagged for COVID, and they left them in Barcelona or Barcelona.
Barcelona. Well, I will say the cruise line thinks they were false positives, by the way.
Yeah.
So I will say that.
But I mean, like, that was huge news.
No. So people have been asking what about Galveston. So I'm going to keep talking, Haley. I'll turn it into the Jason show. You just take all the time you need over there. We understand. So Galveston is an interesting topic or an interesting port because the governor of Texas, Governor Abbott, has signed an executive order very similar to what Florida has done. So no mask, no mask, no vaccine requirements to get into businesses. I do think Governor Abbott could relent a little more easily in the situation because Texas is really trying to draw more cruise ships out of Galveston and to draw some business away from Florida. So I could see Texas from a cruise ship power play, allowing the cruise ships to have to show proof of vaccinations, where Florida, I don't know. I mean, Governor DeSantis is in a very tough spot politically in Florida because the cruising industry is a massive economic force in the state, but he's under pressure from his right flank to not give in to make the vaccines be required. So Governor DeSantis is in a very tough spot politically. He's almost in a no-win situation here. So,
Josh brings up a good point. What are your thoughts on San Juan?
So I can't remember the governor. What's her name? Oh my gosh.
I forget her name. I
can see her face. I can think of the governor of San Juan. But they're kind of saying the same thing, right? So I think cruise out of San Juan will be a while. I think it'll be a while. So they just haven't had any kind of vaccine rollout go on there. I mean, they do have it, just not anywhere near as far as like mainland America. So right now, people keep asking me, what should I do to go on a cruise if I want to go in July, August, September? And I've said, adventure. It's adventure out of Nassau, St. Martin, Celebrity Millennium, lots of choices in Seattle, or do Celebrity Apex out of Athens. Like that's kind of where we are right now. And look, if you would have told me 2 months ago that we would have options of St. Martin, Nassau, Seattle, or Athens, I would not have believed you. So we have more options than I thought we did even a couple months ago.
Absolutely. This is a great topic. And it's not, we're not being political. We're just looking at the playing field here.
Right.
All right. Tip of the day, Jason. Pay attention to the details.
I know this goes without saying, but when you're traveling, you should always pay attention to the details. But during a pandemic, when things are changing daily, you have to pay attention to the details, right? So like sometimes your invoice from the cruise line with flights might not have your correct flight information on it. That doesn't mean that there's a problem. That just means the airlines have changed your flights and maybe the cruise line hasn't updated their documentation. So guys, before you fly, you gotta keep up to date with your flight information. My flights to my flights to Nassau in June have changed a million times. Like they just keep changing. So you have to stay on top of it.
Well, I think that also goes for, speaking of Nassau, they're going to give you a window to show up to the cruise port. You can't show up to the cruise port at 10 a.m. and be like, I'm a Diamond member. I should get priority boarding. Show up in your window. Stop creating a cluster at the ports.
Correct.
This isn't like before where it's like the suggested time to show up was this time and we're like, whatever, I'm getting on the ship first.
My check-in time was always between 1 and 2 p.m. I was already on board the ship for hours. Mm-hmm. But we're not going to be able to do that right now, right? So if my check-in time says 3 o'clock, I will be at the terminal or at the Hilton Colonial at 3 o'clock. Like that's when I will get there, right? I think we need to leave our expectations and our egos at the door, right? There is not going to be any diamond boarding first. There's, if they tell you to wear a mask on the ship, don't pull the wine pinnacle, right? I mean, no, like you have to be flexible and you have to follow the rules if you want to travel during a global pandemic. I mean, just period, right? If you don't play by the rules, stay home. So, pay attention to the details. Make sure you have your airline's apps on your phone and check them constantly.
Frequently.
Yeah.
So we have a question of the day from Mr. Mark Pizzo in the Today in Travel Facebook group. If you guys are not a part of it, I highly recommend that you join. Just go to todayintravel.live or just search Today in Travel on Facebook, and it'll take you right to the group. So, Jason, what is your favorite splurge when traveling?
So I don't splurge on flights very much. I think I might do like a Comfort Plus, only if it's a little bit more. I typically don't splurge a ton on hotel room types. I might pick the second best one. On cruise ships, I'll often do a balcony or the least expensive suite. Some people call that a splurge, but I don't consider that a huge splurge. My splurge on vacations are always on food and drink. I love going to nice places to eat, and I love having great handcrafted cocktails when I'm on vacation. When I went to Vegas, we had some amazing meals and some amazing cocktails all over the strip. So I would say mine is definitely going to be food and drink. Do you agree? What's yours?
So what's really funny is I'm definitely a foodie, but I try to find when I travel a lot of local mom and pop street style food, or just very local restaurants. I think what I tend to splurge on more out of anything is private excursions or transportation.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So I will pay a bit more money to have a boat to myself and whomever's in my party to go snorkeling. I will spend more money getting private transfer from Charles de Gaulle to Paris City Center versus hopping on a shuttle or something like that. I will spend a little bit more doing something like that because convenience, and then maybe I'll splurge a little bit for the accommodation. But I have this formula, I think, secretly in my head where I weigh out what the accommodation's worth.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Yes.
But I definitely try to find the best value since I do like full service properties for hotels.
Yep.
I don't really stay limited service anymore, but I try to find the best value for the amenities among a more premium brand.
Yeah, no. So what's crazy is so you've actually gotten me more into full service hotels. I used to be very okay with limited service properties, but you have made me start looking at what do you mean there's not 3 restaurants on the property? So you've kind of started to make me look at things differently. I kind of started when we were in Hawaii, honestly. I was like, this is kind of convenient.
Nice to be able to grab something on property when we were really tired one day. It was just...
It actually was. So you've kind of made me see things, you've made me see things a little differently.
Yeah, and it's just, I love, like I said, I love eating local, and I will splurge locally on more local foods. But nothing beats after you've been trying all day, flying all day, especially I don't have a lot of direct locations from where I live. So it's usually a connection somewhere. You've been traveling all day. The last thing I want to do is get dressed and go out to dinner when I first land. Sometimes it's just a quick room service or pop into the hotel restaurant before I move.
Well, that's what we did when we were in Honolulu. We just we just went to the restaurant on property, and it was great. We were falling asleep while we were there, but that's where we had dinner.
To have those luxuries and conveniences, you can't beat it.
I agree. I agree.
So that is our show for today. Remember, if you guys want to be a featured question of the day, make sure you pop into that Facebook group. I'm sorry that I was dying during part of this broadcast. I feel it's slipping in again, this upper respiratory
you know what? It just gave me more time to talk. I love hearing myself talk. So
I know you do. I knew you'd love that.
So, well, Haley, drink some water, take a Mucinex, get on some cough medicine. Guys, thank you for joining us. Sorry it was a little shorter than normal, but we just wanted to quickly bring you the news. We're going to let Haley probably go back to bed and get some cough medicine. So, but guys, yeah, join our Facebook group. I think I'm going to make a post in our Facebook group asking Mark's question to all of you guys, because I'm curious what your guys' splurges are on vacation.
Somebody actually answered Mark, and she was saying she couldn't help, and that's why I love this group. Like, you can just get opinions from so many other people that love traveling, may have been to a destination. You like ask questions in there. But somebody responded to Mark, and they're like, "Oh, I have to jump in on this one." They're like, "I like having groceries ordered and delivered ahead of me going somewhere." Right. So they'll stay at a property that has, a kitchen, a fridge, or whatever, and just having full groceries and whatnot. I mean, when I travel to Disney, I send a 24-pack of water to my room.
Right. I like it.
Yeah. So love it. Thank you guys so much. Hannah, thank you so much for commenting. Hannah's one of our top commenters. She has a few things here. And
love it.
Everybody, just thank you so much for joining. We'll be back here next Tuesday. And remember, make sure you set up alerts for both Jason and myself, because we do impromptu after hours. Sometimes we post them in the group and sometimes we don't.
Sometimes we don't. And then especially when Haley and I are together on the adventure in 3 weeks.
Less than 3 weeks. It's like 18 days now.
Yeah. So you'll see both of us on board, and we'll have some shows together like we did in Mexico. So it was like, and sometimes you got to watch live, guys, but sometimes the replay we delete.
Like Jason.
So, I do.
I don't delete anything. I very seldom delete anything. That is a Jason thing.
Awesome. Well, guys, have a great Tuesday. Love you guys. Kind of want to see many of you in 18 days. Keep it here for all news, travel related, cruising, airlines, resorts, everything. Join our Facebook group. And until next week, Haley, it was great as always.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.